Now that we have an attorney here. Good evening, everyone. This is the February 23rd, 2026 regularly scheduled City Council meeting in the City of Crescent Springs. Please stand for the pledge of prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord, we thank you for bringing us all together this evening. We ask you to put kindness in our hearts and to think about what's best for our residents, our taxpayers, our visitors, and all of those that we come in contact regarding the City of Crescent Springs. Let us do what is right for everyone. In your name we pray, amen. Amen. Roll call, please.
Don Kiley.
Here.
Mark Wartenberger.
Here.
Carol McGowan. Here. Jeff Smith.
Here.
Janine Bell Smith. Present. Bob Mueller.
Here. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the February 2nd special meeting we had. You will receive those in your packets. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes. Last meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Don Kiley.
Yes.
Mark Wartenberger.
Yes.
Carol McGowan.
Yes.
Jeff Smith.
Yes.
Janine Bell Smith.
Abstain.
Bob Mueller.
Yes.
Thank you. Next thing, Fire Authority, Chief White.
Good evening. Really, the only thing I have is the run totals, which are 114 ambulance calls for January, obviously 114 year to date, 87 fire calls, 87 year to date.
Thank you very much. Anything for the Chief? That's about as short as it can be. Thank you. Chief Hall.
I feel like I need to be a lot quicker. Evening, everybody. We had 1,405 calls for service. 39% were in Villa Hills and 61% were in Crescent Springs. That's for all the calls. For dispatch calls only, 44% were in Villa Hills and 56% were in Crescent Springs. We had documented 13 crimes and 24 traffic collisions, wrote 75 citations and gave out 87 warnings, had 4 incident reports, 2 domestic reports, and 2 mental health interventions. I also, in your monthlies that you guys have, are the maps provided as well for those. Top roadways for traffic crashes were Amsterdam Road and Anderson Road at Buttermilk Pike. I know that was a surprise. Detective Sergeant Lucas continued to update and investigate numerous cases, drafted several subpoenas and search warrants for different cases to include a case involving organized crime. He also was called out to assist the Kenton County Arson Investigation Team in Ellesmere. That fire was found to be accidental. For our monthly training, we focused on Chapter 1.3, which is our response to resistance. It's also known as use of force. Sergeant Julian K-9 Onyx had 3 deployments credited with 1 arrest and 1 charge. They had 18 hours of training for the month. For overtime, we had 16 and a half hours of overtime for the month as a department. Last thing I will bring up is the SWAT team, which has it is the Northern Kentucky SWAT team, is now approaching all city councils between, it's a regional team. And over the past several years, there's been name changes to the Northern Kentucky Regional SWAT team. It's now Northern Kentucky SWAT. The last interlocal agreement between the cities and the SWAT team that was drafted was in 2013. Obviously, we've had changes in leadership. We've had changes in council. So with Sheriff Heeman being appointed and being obviously his background as running a city, he, as the deputy executive director of the SWAT team, has requested that Chris Nordlow with the county, he drafted a municipal order a new interlocal agreement that cleans up the language in the SWAT interlocal. The biggest thing being the name change and some of the addendums and bylaws addition and things like that. So I know that I have spoken previously to the mayor and city administrators, just forthcoming, knowing that a municipal order, I am going to be asking that the city approve a municipal order, just basically recognizing that we are entering into the agreement with the SWAT team as well, the Northern Kentucky SWAT team. So just kind of, it's all still getting hammered out. You'll see in Lincoln and Link and other cities have already adopted it. Our Villa Hills city attorney read over the review, did have some questions, so we paused briefly, and some of those questions are being answered to our city attorney before. She's always, Marianne Stewart's our city attorney for Villa Hills, and she's also city attorney for a couple other cities that are part of this agreement. So once those questions are answered for her and it's satisfied from that legal side, Villa Hills will proceed with the request for municipal order on that end, and then that will be the same thing that I'll be requesting from you guys.
Can you send Mr. Baker a copy of that so he can review it? And
Aye.
if he has any questions that Mary Ann hasn't thought of?
Absolutely will do, sir.
Thank you.
Any notice of price change for the clock counters?
No price changes at this point, sir, no.
Thank you.
Anything else for Chief?
Sorry I wasn't as quick as Chief went.
No,
So.
no.
But anyway, Chief.
It's always next one.
Always next one.
Public Works report. Before you start, come on up. My report is basically a praise of you and your team for what they've done in the snow removal. I think that you all have done yeoman's work in getting everything done. That's really the only thing I have in the mayor's report, and I wanted to make sure that while you were up here, that, you know, I recognized you and your team for everything. Excuse me, I can't talk this evening.
Thank you, Mayor.
It was a great job under some very extreme circumstances, especially with the wind snow. So it's very much appreciated.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Good evening. I just have a few things to go over. You guys have my report. I'll make it short and sweet as well. I also wanted to stand up here and say thanks to my team. They did a great job with the snow removal this season. Couldn't ask for better. I wanted to thank the fire department for room and board if we needed it, showers if we needed it. I wanted to thank the police department for helping us get cars moved when we needed it moved and any other things that we needed. I wanted to thank Miss McGowan. She offered and paid for us lunch one day, and Miss Rose Wilson from the hardware store also gave us a lunch one day. So I wanted to make sure that I thanked everyone for that as well. I couldn't have said it better, so I appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Daly.
Thanks, Mayor Doherty. I just have 3 topics I'd like to cover. I'll be very brief. The LED light pole replacement along Buttermilk Pike across the street. We had an LED light pole that was struck by a vehicle recently. Obviously, the location is right across from us here at the city building. Duke Energy was notified, and they will be replacing the damaged pole. And I would assume the insurance company for the vehicle will be covering the cost to the damage of the pole itself. Street resurface projects. I just wanted to put this on there. Director Miller most probably had this in her report. Correct me if I'm wrong, Director Miller, but I believe River Blacktop, obviously before wintertime hits, they shut down. We were told they're going to open back up on April 1st.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get on that short list for Short Amsterdam and Crescent Avenue. And then lastly, I just have just a small reminder regarding ordinance 2026-1. I printed a copy with my report along with the map. Just as a reminder, this is only about this little purple area that is encircled on this map itself. Nothing more. That's all this request is for. And that's all I have there.
Thank you. Any questions from Mr. Daly?
Would you clarify something about the Short Amsterdam and what you're going to do with the repaving of that road and marking it? It's been marked for over 3 years.
Well, when we go to resurface it, it will be freshly.
What's the timeline on that, please?
I just mentioned that regular opens back up April 1st, and that they have a list from back in the fall. Director Miller was gonna call them or has called them.
I talked to Mike Regular and he said we are on the schedule for April.
Fantastic.
So what's the timeline then? There is none? We're just on the back list?
April,
What day in April? 1st of
I can't
April?
give you a day.
If the weather permits, we
I
don't
still can't
rain.
give you a day.
Because we've been waiting a long time to get the road taken care of.
Correct, but it will get done.
It is basically disintegrating. And that road gets a lot of travel by a lot of people.
It will be resurfaced from Forest Hill to Romney Crescent Springs Road, our portion. Villa Hills portion, our portion.
Oh, I know that, yeah. The Villa Hills doesn't look so bad. It's our group, it's our.
They did theirs about 10 years ago, so theirs is in a little better shape, yes.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next up, I'm gonna move, and I think I'm gonna do this from now on, move the citizens' comments up to before we do the ordinances and any readings. So are there any residents that wish to address council? Thank you. Next item of business, old business, second reading ordinance 2026-1.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 2026-1, an ordinance of the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, authorizing the mayor to enter into a permanent easement for sewer service with RGMZ Buttermilk Town Center of 1HO LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, and John Spilly LLC, a Kentucky limited liability company, over property located in the Buttermilk Town Center and adjacent thereto. Whereas the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky is the record title holder of the property commonly known as Buttermilk Town Center, and more specifically described in Deed Book C 2360, page 22, and Book KC 70, page 876 of the Kenton County Clerk's Records at Covington, Kentucky. And whereas RGMZ Buttermilk Town Center, OP1HO LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, is the owner of the leasehold interest in the property commonly known as Buttermilk Town Center as a successor in interest to Bear Creek Capital. And whereas said property is subject to a long-term bond in agreement, and whereas John Spilly LLC, a Kentucky limited liability company, is the owner of an adjacent property commonly known as 2301 Anderson Road, Crescent Springs, Kentucky, and whereas the parties are in agreement that an easement over a small portion of the Buttermilk Town Center property in favor of the adjacent property at 2301 Anderson Road, Crescent Springs, Kentucky 41017, owned by John Spilly LLC, should be conveyed, and whereas said conveyance would fulfill an agreement reached several years ago, and all of the documents related to said agreement were not fully executed. Now therefore be it ordained by the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, that the mayor be and hereby is authorized to execute a conveyance and other documents to convey an easement from the property known as Buttermilk Town Center to John Spilly LLC and the property located at 2301 Anderson Road, Crescent Springs, Kentucky. The mayor is authorized to execute any and all necessary documents to complete the agreement and effectuate the transfer of the easement.
Thank you. As I described last month, this is to clean up something that should have been done years ago. And as Mr. Daly has said, this is just for that little piece that is probably 10 by 5, if that big. It's very small, just to clean this up. That should have been done years ago.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-1.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
John Kylie,
Yes.
Mark Wartenberger,
Yes.
Carol McGowan,
Yes.
Jeff Smith,
Yes.
Janine Bell Smith,
Yes.
Bob Mueller,
Yes.
Thank you very much. Ordinance passes 6-0. Next item under new business, and we'll get to you, Mr. Smith, when we get done with these two ordinances that we're going to have the first reading on. First reading is ordinance 2026-2, designating new traffic patterns for various streets within the portion of Old Crescent Springs.
Mayor, can we do any discussion before that reading, or?
We can do it after the reading, because there'll be no action on it tonight.
Ordinance 2026-2, an ordinance of the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, designating traffic pattern for various streets within a portion of, quote, Old Crescent Springs, end quote, including Audrey Terrace, Euclid Avenue, Estelle Avenue, Jefferson Street, Gibson Place, and Enid Avenue. Whereas council confirmed appointments to the Old Crescent Springs Study in Municipal Order 2025-11, and whereas the committee has met and reviewed various documents and information and heard from residents of the City of Crescent Springs, known as Old Crescent Springs, and whereas the committee now recommends to council that a traffic pattern be reset for the following streets: Audrey Terrace, Euclid Avenue, Estelle Avenue, Jefferson Street, Gibson Place, and Enid Avenue. And whereas said traffic pattern recommendations having been placed on a map completed by the city engineer and incorporated herein by reference. And whereas, and after hearing in open forum comments from the residents of the city regarding the proposed traffic pattern and necessary changes having been made, and now therefore be it ordained by the mayor and the city council of the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, that the traffic map of Old Crescent Springs area for the following streets: Audrey Terrace, Euclid Avenue, Estelle Avenue, Jefferson Street, Gibson Place, and Enid Avenue, is placed on the Old Crescent Springs traffic pattern designated by the city engineer and incorporated herein by reference, being hereby is adopted as if fully set forth herein.
Thank you very much. So earlier, about 10 days ago, we did send out to all the residents in that area the new map. One of the things was based on conversations that we've had at those meetings and after the meetings with Mr. Foltz here, or I should say the Mr. Foltzes that spoke last month. We've removed Main Street from one-way and kept it two-way. And so, you know, we've done all the review, we've had all the meetings. There's no action on this tonight. But if there's something you want to talk about, Mr. Smith, because I was planning on having a discussion at the caucus, but we can certainly have some tonight.
Well, that's fine, we can wait till caucus. I just wanted to go over a few things. I know there's some people that are interested, or were actually concerned about the one-way streets. I looked over all 27, I believe it was. I might have been shy one or two, the surveys, and I noticed that there really wasn't a question in there regarding the one-way streets, but in the comment sections, there were quite a few comments regarding it. And let's see here. Roughly about 9 people seemed like they were concerned about the one-way streets and were not in favor, compared to only 1 that was in favor of it. But I wanted to bring that up. I did look as far as the question regarding adequate parking. The majority of everyone on that survey was, they said they had adequate parking. There was only 1, I believe, that said they did not. It was a mixed batch of people that were complaining about water from anywhere. I guess your all survey said it could be either be frequent water problems, occasional water problems, rarely or never. And it was a mixed bag there. I mean, it was about even. And then lastly, I'm just throwing this out there, the community mailbox. I know a lot of people like their mail delivered to their front door, but out of all those surveys, there were 16 people that said they did not want the community mailbox. 3 said yes, and there were 4 that looked like they were undecided. So I just wanted to throw that out there to the council. I didn't know if a lot of you got to look at the reports of the survey, but those are just some of the things that stuck out that I thought that were kind of interesting, and thought I'd throw that at you.
You know, no matter what we do, we're not going to make everybody happy. I mean, that's unfortunate, but that's just the way that it is. But you know, I think to have a full discussion with everybody at the caucus to make sure we're all on the right track, we're all in agreement on what to do is the best way to proceed on that. But
Sounds great.
Next, first reading of 2026-3, amending the annual budget for the fire department. Our annual budget based on a request from the fire department.
Ordinance 2026-3, an ordinance of the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, amending the annual budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, to appropriate an additional $120,000 for the Crescent Villa Hills Fire Authority. Whereas the city adopted an annual budget in ordinance 2025-4 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026. And whereas the Crescent Villa Hills Fire Authority has appeared before council and explained that an unexpected increase in expenses has been incurred due to larger than anticipated number of emergency runs and other expenses incurred by the fire authority. And whereas council has reviewed the requested additional increase in contribution by the city of Crescent Springs and the city of Villa Hills so that the fire authority can meet its expected duties for the citizens of both cities. And whereas additional resources for the fire authority are necessary during the current fiscal year. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, that in addition to the sums appropriated in the budget as enacted and approved in Ordinance 2025-4, an additional $120,000 is authorized to be expended to the Crescent Villa Hills Fire Authority for the unexpected expenses that have occurred in this fiscal year. This ordinance shall become effective upon enactment. The invalidity of any section of this ordinance shall not affect the validity of any other portion of the budget as approved in Ordinance 2025-4.
Thank you. We did have our joint budget meeting with the City of Villa Hills, and that's a couple of weeks ago. And one of the things that was mentioned at our last council meeting was that, you know, the original request was for us to approve $80,000. Now they're asking for $120,000. That was because basically we were giving them no wiggle room at all with the $80,000. They've had an increase in overtime due to some unforeseen circumstances. So it was thought that we'd be better off if we, you know, can make sure that they're funded fully, and they have bills due on the 1st, and we wouldn't be paying until the 1st or 2nd. There's, you know, cash currents that might happen at the end of the fiscal year, so that's why the amount went from 80 to 120. The chief is here to answer questions. If we have any, and again, I do plan on having this on the agenda for the caucus, where I would hope that the council might come in with some ideas as to what we might be able to do after we finish getting through this issue, and how we might be able to, as Councilmember Mueller has stated, look beyond just the immediate and solve for the future as well. Are there any comments on this? Again, no action tonight.
I did have a couple of questions regarding the full-time employees. How many do we have now?
11.
11 now? I know back, back in '24, we had a ordinance, or that council at the time had an ordinance drafted up regarding, I think it was,
8.
yeah, authorizing the fire authority to hire up to 8 full-time. So I'm just curious where the extra 3 came from.
So, in order to keep the overtime down, because the overtime we're paying is part-time, in order to keep that down, we internally had 3 employees that we promoted to full-time that became paramedics. So it was a cost-effective measure on our part to have them full-time. We're saving money by having full-time, reducing the overtime.
Gotcha. But I'm reading this ordinance, and it says here at the very bottom, it says, now therefore be it ordained by the mayor and the city council of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, that the Crescent Springs Fire Authority is hereby authorized to hire up to 8 full-time staff members. Additional full-time staff may be authorized in future years as part of the regular budget process. So I'm just curious, you know, I thought that per this ordinance that the councils had to say on the hiring of additional employees. So am I wrong at that, or? Am I wrong on that? Am I right or wrong on that?
Which says that's the last part of it though. In the next budget, there was 11, and that got approved.
It was, those 11 were approved in the last budget?
I mean, every budget they give us includes the full-time employees, right?
I don't recall it.
I don't know that the number was specifically specified in the budget, but the dollar amounts were. So you know, and I understand your point, believe me, but I also understand the chief's point of he's trying to be fiscally responsible.
No, I understand that.
And the best way to do that was to move people from part-time to full-time, so we're not paying all the overtime and such, so. I don't know that I have an exact answer for you.
Okay, well, we can look at it between now and the next caucus and maybe look and see if, you know, there's anything that was done right or wrong. Not that I'm saying that anything was wrong, but just as long as we're on the right page.
Okay.
Let me take a look for you, and I'll get back to everybody. There might be an answer somewhere along the line. You know, we all get so much information. There may be an answer that explains it, I don't know, but it is a good question on your part.
I think the mechanics is, chief would come to the city and the fire authority and say, hey, I got a need here. I need help funding it, or I'll put it in my next budget. And I think that would have been the mechanics, to your point. Did it get executed according to that?
In the exact terminology I took to the fire authority and I thought I brought here was, if we don't hire these people full-time now, somebody else is gonna snatch them up. So that's where we were.
And then, yeah, I've got a few more questions. I think we can talk about it at the caucus on that.
Okay.
And it'd be over the numbers and or future full-time employees and, you know, how many part-time employees we have and whatnot, or how many they have. Yeah, I've got a few questions. We can talk about it at the caucus.
Okay.
So would that not be a violation of the municipal order 2024-5, where it says, whereas the interlocal agreement corporation requires the consent of the legislative bodies of both cities before the Crescent Springs Fire Authority can hire full-time staff? I'm trying to get clarification on that, sir.
So as I just stated, we're gonna look into that question. You know, the chief has verbally said it. We've approved the budget. Is that approval? To me, it is, but we'll look into it to make sure that we're right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
For new business, are we on new business?
Yes, we are.
For the caucus, because I don't want to prolong tonight, I'd like to add an agenda item around the flock cameras. I keep beating that horse, but I feel like we owe the chief an answer this fiscal year, kind of fish or cut bait, one way or the other. You can talk about that.
Okay. And Councilmember Smith, you have something you passed out to everybody?
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you. Something I just kind of came up with on a whim here. It's called, I'm calling it the Grant Initiative. We can rename it whatever you like, or whatever we like. But it's a little incentive for our department heads, all of them, to seek grants for, you know, potential projects down the road, and to be rewarded for that in lieu of their time and service, you know, trying to come up with this grant. So this is just something I've kind of put together. I'd like for you all to look at it and see what you think. And I guess we could talk about that at the next caucus meeting, but I just didn't want to hand it out and let you all take a quick gander at it and see what you thought, and we'll talk about it at the caucus.
And if I am right, he won that pass with Mr. Baker, and that it seems to be something that we can do. We'll decide whether we want to or that when we have the discussion of that, but because that was my original question when he addressed it to me was, can we do this? That's been answered, so now it's to think through everything and to come out and discuss it.
Yeah. And I'm open to any changes, so if you all see something there you'd like to change or, you know, upgrade it or downgrade it, just let me know or we'll talk about it then. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other new business? Any committee reports?
On the
Fire Committee next month on March 16th. And I would like to suggest that anybody in administration or other members of the committee, if they are at that committee meeting and would like to speak during the following council meeting, that they be allowed to do so in my absence. I'll be at the council meeting, just not at the fire meeting.
Okay. Hearing nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to
Is there
adjourn.
a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you all.
Just assume you all were going to